Hi, Travis of Splunk here. I've done multiple videos on bringing in metrics data, how to install IT Essentials work so you can review that metrics data, and even installing the content packs that Splunk has provided. Now, I recommend all the time that people should start with, getting that data in, getting it normalized, and installing IT Essentials work so you can start lighting up entity overview. But there's other sections here like service analyzer, class tables, deep dives. These are all features of IT Service Intelligence. So if I click on default analyzer there from service analyzer menu, you can see this is a premium feature. Now, once your team, your corporation, mission, whatever, is ready to take the next step of just not knowing if an entity is up or down, how much CPU certain devices using. I can drill down into the Unix and Linux add-on here and then be able to look at and see. I don't have that much data here. This is a demo environment, but I do have some data where I can see what's going on. And I even, if I click on this one IP here, I've got it running a process every so often that spikes to CPU. And I'll do a workshop where I find out what is spiking that CPU. Scrolling down, we can look at the processes down here and do a filter on CPU, and I have a stress NG that's doing this. But we want to take the next step. We just don't want to look at individual computers like this. We want to see something more as a service. What is a service? Let me take you over to my home environment. I actually have IT Service Intelligence running here in my home environment. This is how I learn, by building, by breaking, by fixing, and then doing it all over again. So if you have a program of record, or if you have a cafeteria menu, or whatever you want to define as a service, it's something that you need to monitor. Now, there is good questions out there you can start asking. What is important to application, or whatever you want to monitor as a service? How do you know when something's not working correctly? What indicators are you receiving to tell you something's wrong? So here I'm using my home as an example, the hall environment, and I want to look at my firewall. I want to understand, is my ports on my network device, are they up and down? Are they, which data is flowing through them? I can look at my Unix and Linux servers. This is a content pack that comes with IT Service Intelligence that you can download. And all I've done is duplicated that content pack and then readjusted the thresholds. And that's where IT Service Intelligence is going to allow you to have different thresholds for different pieces that can be key performance indicators or KPIs. But here I've also got my internet service provider where I can go in here and put those thresholds to say, hey, if it's at this level, it's normal. If it's not, turn it red. For example, here with app servers, if I look at the app server here, I can see my CPU idle is going high because it's reached a certain threshold. But for today's video, I'm going to get to creating some other content around how to do more stuff in IT Service Intelligence. But first things first, we've got to get it installed. We've got to get it where you can start using it. And that is as simple as adding an IT Service Intelligence license. You'll have to buy. That is a premium app. This is, I'm not trying to sell it to you, but if you're looking for information how to transition from IT Essentials work to IT Service Intelligence, hopefully this video will answer some of those questions. But first things first, we're going to get over to documentation, and then I'll show you and upgrade this environment. At the top, I've already got some tabs opened up so I don't waste time clicking on links and whatnot. But the first one I have opened up is going to be about Splunk IT Service Intelligence. I'll make sure to include all these links in the description below. But this is just a start. So over here in the menu, you can see we have planning, we have installation, we have upgrading, how to upgrade this. I may, when time allotted, create some other videos where I go through and show you even how to upgrade IT Service Intelligence. I'll give you a hint. It's very similar to what I did with IT Essentials work, stop Splunk, get the files on that box, overwrite, and restart Splunk. Now, there is some considerations when you do IT Service Intelligence about backing up, and there's a lot to think about. So go through our documentation, reach out to a Splunk professional, and hit up the knowledge base. Splunk answers. Moving on, when you are wanting to move forward, you're learning about what IT Service Intelligence do for you. You need to plan your deployment, and there's a lot of things to consider. Is how big your environment is. Are you running on a search head? You're going to create a search head just for ITSI, IT Service Intelligence. Are you doing search head clustering, index clustering, or is this an all-in-one box like I'm going to be showing you today? There's a lot of different ways to deploy this. Now, next tab, we're going to talk about the prereqs and whatnot, and I'm just going through the installation. Now, I have pulled up installing on a single instance, which you can see if you're going to do it from fresh, never installed it before, this is how you would do it on the single instance. Java is required. I believe it's installed on this server. We'll find out. Well, I've got IT Essentials work on here. So it's running, so I'm pretty sure the Java is working fine. But it's very similar to IT Essentials work. However, I already have IT Essentials work. It's a feature reduced version of IT Service Intelligence, so I should be able to just drop a license and get going. But if you're doing a fresh install, here's the documentation for that. And we can, and the next link over or tab over is just talking about that distributed environment. So where to install IT Service Intelligence in a distributed environment. If you do have search head, you're going to dedicate a search head. You got to make sure ITSI installed on there. However, if you're indexer, if you have clustered indexers, you're going to need SA index creation folder on all those indexers. And then the license manager, if it's on your single box, if it's not, and you have a dedicated license manager, you're going to need to install SA ITSI license checker and the SA user access on that license manager. And it's going to be allowed you to be able to use ITSI. I've done this before where I couldn't figure out why ITSI wasn't, or IT Essentials work was not upgrading. And it was because I forgot to move a folder over. And I will show you that folder here in a second. The last thing I want to go over is the last tab here, and these will all be in the description, these links. But it's how to install license, just in case you've never installed a Splunk license. Hopefully you have, but you'll see me do it with the ITSI license that I have. So let's jump back over to my demo environment, get started. So here we have the environment. I'm going to go to Apps, Config Explorer, and show you some of those folders underneath ITSI. So wherever you have Splunk installed, in the ITSI folder, etc apps, you'll see that there was a lot of extra folders that were installed when I put IT Essentials work on here. So here, we were going to have a search head. This is where you're going to find the ITSI, and there it is, SA user access, SA ITSI license checker, and then that SA index creation. These are the folders I was talking about here in the documentation where to install that you will need to grab and then get on to the appropriate server, the indexer, the search head, the license manager. Once you have that all done, this is a single box. We should be able to go up to settings. Now I'm going to go to license, and I'm going to add a license. And I have it right here. I'm going to open. You're not seeing where the folder is, but you can see now that I have the Splunk ITSI XML there. I'm going to click install, and it should say new license was successfully installed. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have two things here. You may notice there will be a IT Service Intelligence do not copy. That's fine. That's just allowing you to use uh, IT Essentials work. But what you need is the license up here. So now let's go back to apps and IT Essentials work. See what happens. Getting started. Welcome to Splunk IT Service Intelligence. So now I can start to define a service, uh, open up the possibilities, open up a lot of ways to be able to monitor not just a Linux server, but monitor an environment, a piece, an application, whatever you decide a service is, to see when there is a problem and start unlocking more potential out of Splunk. Go ahead and close here. Right now, I don't have anything for as services. We could go ahead if you already have the content packs. I mean, you can go to configuration, data integration, and then look at the content library. There should be more options in here. For example, monitoring Unix and Linux. I don't know, remember going back and maybe I should have showed that, but you may not see this one here. I can click on that one and I'm going to, see what's included. And this is for Nix OS performance, service templates and services. I can click proceed, and maybe I'll do another video on doing this again, but I'm just going to do it here real quick. Install as new, overwrite, I'm going to leave all default. Yep. And make sure you do a full backup, or you can go back to the documentation. But yeah, you can back up services, and I can go over all of this in other videos. But I just want to do something really quick and show you how easy it is to start getting good information into your environment. Now, when I go back to my service analyzer, default analyzer, that content pack that we did enable may not show up yet. Now, if I go over tree view, I don't know why it's not showing up here in the tile view. If I go over to tree view, I am finding that sample Unix and Linux server health from that content pack. So this is that pre-built content that I don't have to create from scratch. It's already there. And what I did in my home environment is I did the same thing, installed the content pack for Unix and Linux health. I created a service called Unix and Linux server, and then underneath of that, I cloned that sample 3 times and then renamed it and adjusted all the values and thresholds to that group of servers. Now, I'm not going to go in on that deep in this video. I just wanted to show you how to drop a license and get IT Service Intelligence up and running, how easy it can be. But I will come back here to default analyzer, show you here the sample. We're going to go up to configuration. I'm going to go to service monitoring. And then I'm going to go service and KPI management. And there's other things that we can do, base searches, threshold templates, even a service sandboxing. These stuff that I want to go over later. But I'm going to click on service and KPI management. And here is where I can see those services that I've been creating, or even the KPIs. And you can see that the status is disabled. Well, I'm going to say edit and then clone. Let's give it a new name. We'll leave the word clone on it. Good to me. We can even assign this to different teams. That's a whole nother conversation. But let's click clone. So once I clone it, now I should have a second service that shows up. And this one I can actually enable. I mean, I can enable the other one, but I like to leave that one alone until, just so I always have a baseline to work from. Because I may put different parameters in this one. This one is synced with a service template. Another video for another day. Now, if I come back to my service analyzer and default analyzer, let's see if we've got any information here yet. So still no results are found. And if I come to the tree view, I have 2 of them here. And the reason why, because these searches, these key performance indicators are on a schedule. If I come up here to Unix and Linux clone the one I just created. I can double check and make sure in my entities that I do have entities that are showing up, and there is entities that are showing up. I can look at the KPIs. Now, this is all information I want to go over in a later video on how to adjust all these different settings. You can see there's a base search and then a search. So think of that post or parent and child searches. I am actually going to back out and let's go and refresh to see if any data is coming in yet and lighting up these KPIs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and give it a little bit of time. I know some of these searches only run every 5 minutes, and I'd have to go back in through and dissect it. But I'm going to pause the video and come back to it. I'm back and kept refreshing until I saw more data, and it started to light up some of the key performance indicators. And it's funny because I'm in the red right now. So if I click on the service, I can quickly see, hey, here's where the data is starting to catch up. And if I were to let the video go longer, I would probably start seeing the information for other pieces here. If you're not seeing those pieces, it's maybe because it's looking for something that you're not sending over yet. But minimum free disk, CPU idle, disk latency, and other pieces are coming in. And this is where you can start customizing these KPIs to your needs. For example, maybe I don't know what is allocated to the Linux server. I don't stand up those. Somebody else does. When I stood up this demo environment, and they may only give that disk 100 meg or maybe 500 meg, but you can make adjustments because right now my threshold is static. I have adaptive threshold. We're going to learn what's normal, but it's set to static right now to say, hey, anything that's below 2000 2 gig, yeah, turn it red. If it's set, 5 or above, it's good. So actually, anything below 5 would turn yellow, and so on. You can once you get to playing around in here, go up to your Unix and Linux, bring up that service. That's the quickest way to get to editing a service, just by clicking a name here. We could have went through configuration, service monitoring, and found it. But if you want the quick way, just click up here, opens up a new screen. And in here, if I look at let's say CPU idle, it's already selected, or even just the free disk space, this one here, and look at thresholding. This is where you can start setting your threshold values using Splunk powered by AI. Just make sure you have all the prereqs, machine learning, a lot to get in, not a lot, but there is things that you do have to have installed to take advantage of the Splunk AI features in IT Service Intelligence, which is built in. So I'm not a data scientist. There's people here at Splunk that can go over a lot of that better than I can. But if I come down here and look at my aggregated values, threshold values, where I can add more thresholds if need be and change things around. All right, so in this video, we've covered a lot, actually more than I expected to do. I was just going to go, hey, here's how you drop a license in a single environment. I didn't actually, if I go back to Splunk Enterprise, or it said IT Essentials work. Given enough time, they'll start saying IT Service Intelligence. So I just dropped a license here in the GUI, restarted. I don't even think I restarted Splunk. Actually, I did not even restart Splunk, but I dropped the license, it picked up the key, and turned it over to IT Service Intelligence from IT Essentials work, which opens up Service Analyzer, which you can see now there's a lot of other features in this tile view, or tree view. That'll be dependent on how your teams think, or even the analysts and how they like to go about troubleshooting issues. But that license got us past entity overview. We have deep dive features, glass tables. I will try to get videos out over all of this. But for now, I hope this was helpful just to show you how to get that license, where to get the information on getting started with IT service intelligence, planning out that environment that's going to be really critical, and then working with the Splunk team, the account team, build out a successful environment. Make sure you got enough hardware, understanding how many services or KPIs. These are going to be questions that Splunk person will be asking you. So as always, happy spelunking. See you on the next video.